The NFL Combine is over, and there are plenty of prospects that the Bengals either met with or positions that they could address early in the draft where prospects might start rising up the draft board after their performance in Indianapolis. Let's dive into all of our Combine takeaways right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into CBT. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and get ready because, well, it is almost time for free agency. We'll have you covered regardless of what the Bengals do, whether they lose players, whether they gain players, whether they re-sign guys. And, oh yeah, the NFL Combine's in the books, which means we are going to focus on the draft a ton between now and the 2023 NFL Draft. And there are a lot of guys that help themselves and help their case to be drafted by the Bengals in Indianapolis. And let's start with offensive line, because that's what you want to talk about is offensive line, right? And, well, the first guy that I think really boosted his stock and might not even be available at 28 anymore is a guy by the name of Wright. Darnell Wright out of Tennessee has the size you're looking for, looked agile, looked like he moved well at 333 pounds. And so when you're the Bengals and you're looking for a right tackle, I'm not saying he's plug and play instantly, but he might be. Darnell Wright had an impressive performance in Indy. First, let's start with his frame, 6'5", 333. He's not one of these tweeners, guard tackle types. He is a tackle. And when you see that, you're like, okay, well, how does he move? Well, he ran a 5.01 40-yard dash. His 10-yard split was 1.81 seconds, according to Kent Lee Platt, who put together, at MathBomb on Twitter, he puts together these relative athletic scores. It's really nice to follow them, and I posted it on allbengals.com. Anyways, Wright got a 9.47 out of 10 for his relative athletic score. His broad jump was over 9 feet. Clearly explosive, fast for his size. I like it. And even though he's 6'5" and he's not 6'6" or 6'7", like a lot of offensive linemen, has the weight on that frame and moved well with it. So you look at a guy like Darnell Wright, who's 21 years old. I think he's going to give the Bengals plenty to think about, and certainly someone that has moved up their draft board. Let's stick with the offensive line, and I'll do one more, and then we'll get into some tight ends, some running backs. Blake Freeland. I'm not sure any offensive lineman helped his stock more than he did over the weekend. BYU, clearly a tackle, and you knew it size-wise, 6'7", really long arms, and he's someone, well, not really long, but almost 34-inch arms. And I meant to mention that with Darnell Wright, almost 34-inch arms, 33.75-inch arms. Freeland, little longer, but he's a bigger guy at 33.875-inch arms, but a 10-foot broad jump, a 4.98 40-yard dash at 6'7", 302 pounds. And most scouts believe that he can add some weight to that frame because that is a little light. But you think about it, if he's 6'7", 320, he's still going to be faster than most guys, I would imagine. And so he had a really great 3-cone drill and tested at a high level. So I think Blake Freeland is a day 2 target. If you're looking offensive tackle wise, that's a big topic. Darnell Wright would be with the 28th pick in the draft. So those are 2 guys that the Bengals could draft in rounds 1 through 3. Let's get to some other positions though and speed things up a little bit here because the tight end spot is in need. I've talked about this on Locked On Bengals. I've certainly written about this at allbengals.com. Wouldn't shock me one bit if they doubled down at tight end, depending on where they end up taking a tight end. I could see them taking one with the 28th pick and one in the 5th round. I could see them taking one in the 3rd round and one in the 5th round. And it really just depends on who's there, when they're there, because there's a lot of depth in this class. Let's start with Michael Mayer, because Michael Mayer is someone that Bengals fans know very well. He grew up about 15 minutes from Paycor Stadium, went to Notre Dame, produced at such a high level, and I think some were underwhelmed by his testing, his athletic testing. And I wasn't. A 4.7 40-yard dash, that's about right. I wasn't expecting him to be one of these freakish athletes that jumps off the page. But what he is he's the most complete tight end in this draft. And he's going to come in right away and be this plug-and-play tight end who can block, and block in line for you, and then also beat opposing linebackers down the seam, beat opposing safeties, let's say, in contested catch situations. And so I like Michael Mayer a lot, and I think the Bengals will too, and I think he helped his stock in Indianapolis, even though the testing doesn't pop off, say, the way Darnell Washington's does. And my, oh my, you look at Darnell Washington, and I wrote about him, and he's just freakish. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. I mean, freakish. A 4.6, and I'm looking at my laptop here to make sure I don't miss anything. 4.64 40-yard dash, 6'6", 264 pounds, jumped over 10 feet in the broad jump, ran the short shuttle in 4.08 seconds. Freak. That's what he is. He tested like a freak. He's already an elite blocker. His frame, it depends on what you want to do with it. And I think it's interesting because you watch him at Georgia, and he doesn't look as explosive as he did in Indianapolis. But he was carrying more weight than he had in Indianapolis. But that shouldn't impact him from a blocking standpoint too much because he's so technically sound. He's still really strong and powerful. So I think that this kid could end up being able to just do it all at the next level. And he had a really nice one-handed catch towards the end of combine drills, looked fluid throughout. And to me, certainly someone in play at 28. The Bengals met with him, by the way. They also met with Sam LaPorta out of Iowa. And it is wild how close his testing numbers look and resemble George Kittle's. And I'm not saying he's George Kittle, but they're both 6'3". They were both 245, 247. They both ran 40-yard dashes, sub 4.6. LaPorta 4.59, which is just flying. I mean, that was faster than a decent amount of wide receivers in this class. 95th percentile from a tight end standpoint. He is a little light at 245, but he's light and explosive. 3-cone, 6.91. The short shuttle, 4.25. I mean, really lines up well. Broad jump did well. Vertical, 35 inches, did well, which was identical, by the way, to George Kittle. I like LaPorta a lot. And you're talking about a day 2 type of tight end. I mentioned like the idea of taking a tight end in round 3 and round 5. Well, LaPorta, I don't think he'll be there in round 3. I think if you don't take him in round 1, excuse me, you'll probably take him in round 2. So that is certainly someone that stood out. Other guys, look, Josh Wiley of the UC Bearcats is someone, if he's there in round 4, I'm having a discussion. And I'm having a discussion about him even if they did let's say you get Darnell Washington at 28. Well, if Wiley's there at the end of round 4, I'm highly, highly interested. And heck, maybe the Bengals have a higher grade on him and they get him round 3. Who knows? With the 92nd overall pick. I'm not sure if we'll make it to round 4. Picking at the end of the round, you have to almost think, all right, would you take this person at the start of the second round? Right? If you're talking about the 28th pick, would you take this person at the start of the 3rd round when you're talking about the 60th pick? And when you do that, it makes it a little easier. So we will see there, what they do tight end wise. And then running backs, I think Zach Charbonnet had a great performance out of UCLA and ran really well. I think boosted his stock. You look at what his game is, and the fact that he ran a 4.53 40-yard dash, 214 pounds. He had great production in college. I think he's certainly a guaranteed day 2 pick, and at the latest, early 3rd round. So another candidate for pick 60 for Zach Charbonnet. The Bengals met with him. And then another guy they met with, Jamir Gibbs out of Alabama. Look, he ran a 4.36 40-yard dash, and that's what people needed to see. They needed to see that. Is the speed real that they see on the field? Yeah, it is. And how fluid is he during receiving drills? And he looked great in receiving drills. No one's going to mistake him for this super strong bell cow type of back, right? He's he wants to be Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, those type of backs. And he certainly made his case. The Bengals met with him as well. So it's going to be interesting. There are a ton of guys I didn't get to that we will discuss in the coming weeks, but those are some of the names that come to mind of guys that helped their stock and are certainly on the Bengals' radar. For more, make sure you check out allbengals.com. Hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. We will have a ton coming your way in the coming days and weeks. So for Andrew Fox-Miller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.